It's the Fiesta's bigger brother, and one of the best cars this manufacturer has ever made. The Ford Focus. Y2K was on the horizon, and it was not just the world that was about to end. The Ford Escort was in need of replacing, so they set out to design a compact car larger than the Fiesta, but smaller than a Mondeo. And what they came up with was the Focus. It was pretty similar, actually, to the Mark V Fiesta in many ways. It was designed as a global car to match all region crash safety and emission safety regulations instead of a specific region by region, which saves money. And it was cheap. It was practical. It was a family car for all occasions, and apart from the polarizing styling of the first generation, it was a great car. The interior was laid out by CAD software, which increased headroom and legroom while keeping the compact dimensions. And using the brand new multi-link rear suspension, it could actually handle like a sports car for a fraction of the price. It was a wolf in sheep's clothing. In fact, Motor Trend recorded a slalom speed of 62.6 miles an hour, which is faster than both a Jag XJ8 and a Bentley Continental, which cost over 5 times as much. So provided it didn't fall apart or glitch out before leaving the factory lot, it was a subtle sports car that a family could fit groceries in. And this was just the base model. There were very special ones, and I'm not talking about the ridiculously stupid marketing packages. I'm talking about the Focus RS. Europe started out with the ST170 with a Cosworth-designed 170 horsepower engine, but they decided to ramp it up a little bit more with the RS model in 2002, continuing the legacy of the Sierra and Escort RS models. The engine was almost completely rebuilt with forged aluminum pistons, stainless steel exhaust, hardened valve seats, and sodium-filled exhaust valves, which I think that does something, otherwise it's just fancy gibberish they throw in the marketing advertisement, but I'm pretty sure it does actually do something. But just for a little bit of oomph in case the salt-filled exhaust didn't meet your taste, was a brand new single Garrett turbo making 215 horsepower. The front-wheel drive hatchback could hit 60 in 6.3 seconds, and that shot up immensely when you got the Celine N2O. It had 140 horsepower with a NOS system as standard. Yeah, Celine, those guys, made a Focus with a warranty that came with a NOS bottle, that as soon as you plugged it into the car, immediately removed the warranty. But still, it's sick. I love it. It's insane, and I don't know why Celine made this coming off of the S7, but they did. So, there you go. The Mark II came out a few years later, and for some reason, it didn't necessarily follow the global car program. It was slightly different between the US and Europe. But they did manage to cut costs in other ways. They used the same platform as the Volvo V40, the Ford C-Max, and the Mazda 3. And this was pretty much a typical second-gen car, fixing the mistakes of the previous generation, aka the 24 warranty recalls it had in its first gen alone. The quality and reliability was improved, the controversial sound was reworked. Other than that, it was pretty much the same. Ford did do a monotone racing version to give the ST a 50 horsepower boost and some sweet orange paint, and they did add a convertible cabriolet version, which was terrible, and a crossover version called the X-Road, which was also terrible, but at least that one was only limited to the Netherlands. But they made it up with a hell of a second-generation RS. Unlike the Cosworth 4-cylinder Volta Mark II RS, used a Volvo-sourced 2.5-liter 5-cylinder, that was turbocharged up to 300 horsepower with 20 psi of boost. The base Volvo engine also got variable valve timing, forged crankshaft, and aluminum pistons. In order to handle that much power through the front wheels, a very clever torque biasing LSD was installed to reduce torque steer and wheel spin. Ford UK claimed it was as close as you could get to driving a full-spec rally car. So naturally, they made a faster version called the RS 500. It was all black, it made 350 horsepower, 340 torque, going to the front wheels, and it was the fastest front-wheel drive car ever tested in the standing kilometer, with a 0 to 60 of 5.4 seconds and a top speed of 165. How they managed to get that much power through the front wheels controllably in the mid-2000s is nothing short of incredible. The Civic Type R does it now, but that only has about 310 horsepower. This has 40 horsepower more, and it could just about pull it off. It's actually kind of incredible. Almost as impressive was the third-gen Focus, because despite the fact that its transmissions would try to kill you, as previously mentioned in the Fiesta video, it was a fantastic car. In fact, it was the best-selling car in the entire world in 2012. It was so good that in 2018, Ford decided to kick it out of the US market in favor of SUVs. It's fine. It's fine because before its departure in 2018, Ford gave the Focus and the US some truly incredible parting gifts. Starting with the Focus ST, it was a lot more aggressive. It was a larger grille, larger wings, aluminum wheels, and red Recaro racing seats. The Volvo 5-cylinder, as brilliant as it was short-lived and ditched in favor of a 2-liter EcoBoost, making 252 horsepower. But like the original Focus, this is a track car in disguise. It is 66 pounds lighter than the previous one, which means it handles well, and it has grippy sport tires, which means it handles well, and it has incredible orange paint, which means it handles very well. That's just scientifically proven. I love this car. It's a brilliant car. It's one of the last truly great Fords, I would argue, they made, that combines practicality, affordability, and performance. And I guess the sort of childish wonder, amazement that you see when you drive it just puts a smile on your face. I love it. It's a brilliant car. By far the best hatchback they have made. Maybe even better than the Fiesta ST. Very controversial opinion, that one, but it's very close between them. Of course, it doesn't really matter because all that pales into insignificance in the fact that they made an estate version of it, which instantly makes it better. So, that by default makes it the best Ford ever made, a estate version of their already brilliant hatchback. But remember how I said the RS was sort of designed to be the closest to a road-going rally car you could get? Well, the keen-eyed viewer will notice that it was front-wheel drive, and while it had the same power as a rally car, the front-wheel drive sort of let it down, so Ford got to work. They merged all of their performance divisions from Australia, Europe, and the US into one, Ford Racing, and began working on several new vehicles, and one of them was the next-gen RS. It was a true, proper rally car for the road, we mean it this time. It had a 2.3-liter EcoBoost, 350 horsepower, 350 torque, and critically for rallying, torque vectoring all-wheel drive. Which means 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds. Yes, the Focus RS may be the gold standard for all super hot hatches. All-wheel drive, turbocharged 4-cylinder, and the tech that you will talk about in just a second. The torque vectoring works with the sport tires and the functional aero to make this one of the best handling Fords ever made. Its only real competition is the GT350R and the Ford GT. So, there you go. And yes, it has a drift mode. I told you this was the gold standard for all future super hot hatches, which has since been plagiarized by both Volkswagen and Mercedes. The thing's amazing. It's a bright blue monster that is the more extreme, hardcore version of the ST, equally as, you know, bright and vibrant, as in-your-face as all hot hatches should be, but it does also want to rip your skin off and go around a track as fast as possible. But it was not long for this world, especially with the Mark III being discontinued in the US. Ford partnered up with Moto2 again to make 50 UK only. Why are you doing this to me, Ford? Why? They made 50 UK only Heritage Editions with 375 horsepower and special orange paint to commemorate the ending of one of the best cars Ford has ever made. Because the Focus Mark IV is a great car, make no mistake, but it's sort of like the Mark II was to the Mark I. It's an evolution. It fixes the styling looks great, the chassis is stiffer, it's lighter, there's more interior space, there's even a hybrid version. The ST got a 20 horsepower bump to 276 and an optional performance pack, and there's no RS model. Ford, the eternal geniuses at Ford, yeah, they're not making RS models citing emission regulations, which is a bit ridiculous given all the new hot hatches in Europe right now. But we don't have time to talk about those lazy sacks of crap in Ford management, because we have to talk about the other thing the Focus is known for: rallying. You see, like its road-going counterpart, the Focus WRC was meant to replace the aging Escort RS WRC Group A car. And it got a new driver lineup with a new car lineup as well. Leading the charge was none other than Colin McRae, you might have heard of him. And he gave it its first ever rally win at the Safari Rally with a 15-minute gap to second place, and that would sort of set the standard for what was to come. Over the next 11 years, it would go on to win 44 rallies and 2 manufacturer championships in 06 and 07, making it the third most successful rally car of all time, beaten only by the Lancia Delta and the Subaru Impreza, which have 46 rallies each. Now I know what you're thinking. The Delta has 3 times as many championships as the Focus, but only won 2 more rallies. How is that possible? Well, Ford has always been the bridesmaid, never the bride. For instance, they scored second in the Manufacturers' Championship 7 times. And Ford's drivers scored second almost as many times, often by the slimmest of margins. For instance, 2001. Colin McRae is battling Richard Burns in the final rally, the final stage, and he rolls it. And Richard Burns wins the championship by 2 points. Or what about 2006, where Marcus Gronholm lost by just a single point to Sebastian Loeb? Or 2007, where Gronholm lost by 4 points to Sebastian Loeb. Or maybe 2009, where Mikko Hirvonen, I'm trying, lost to, you guessed it, Sebastian Loeb by just 1 point. Everyone's so proud of Sebastian Loeb for, winning 9 titles in a row, I think, something crazy like that, which, props to him. But he almost didn't do that. It was the slimmest of margins many, many times, and Ford always came out the loser. Yeah. It must be infuriating as a Ford driver in the WRC, because certainly during their early 2000s period of success, they were always just there, and then they couldn't do it. Yeah. That sounds extremely painful on the mind. But hey, you never know. With the Fiesta RS slowly losing its edge against its competition, maybe it's time to bring the Focus out of retirement.